should say, as a disclaimer, I have never done this before and I don't know what I'm doing.
It's going to be a baptism of fire. Where better to start your motorhome driving journey than on the M25?
Come on, Daryl. I think I'm going to need more than a tea in a minute.
Hi, I'm Daz and she's Bee. We've had our motorhome since June last year and have already had many adventures and made plenty of maverick mistakes on our travels.
Our dreams of owning a home in France were shattered after Brexit. Then we failed to move somewhere more rural after our house sale fell through in the UK.
We bought Stampy, our 10-year-old motorhome, in the hope that we can live a life less ordinary and explore the UK and Europe with our kids and our greyhound Sammy whenever we can.
Please join us as we try new things, make memories as we escape in the motorhome. All set?
Yes.
Pray for me, if you're the praying type. You show me how to drive?
Yeah. Should I have to do cruise? If you want to drive as cool as me.
Yeah, well, you do realise we're going to be going into granny mode, and what is a 2.5 mile journey might well take 4. Right, this is it, the end.
But before that, let me take you back a week.
So in our last video we established that our tap is leaking, so I've decided to take this wet bank holiday to fix it. So first off, I'm going to make sure that's off. I believe you just got to take this hot and cold symbol button out. Oh dear. Okay, so I've managed to break that. I'll probably colour it in with a Sharpie and stick that thing back in top. Other big tip, put the plug in just so you don't lose anything down the sink. Now we just need the Allen key. Okay, unscrew the top. Now we need a spanner big enough to get this section off. And there's our cartridge. Maybe worth getting a new one. But it's not really, is that really leaking from there? So, having stripped the tap down a little bit, I mean there's nothing obvious, a bit like the water pump when that had to be fixed, there's nothing obvious about the O-rings underneath that look like it's perished at all. And the leak really comes from the base of the tap. So unless somehow leaking inside and then coming out at the bottom, I'm wondering whether I've got a bigger problem on my hands, and this might be something for the guys coming on middle of this week to fix the heater and the fridge, whether this is something for their level of competence rather than my level of competence. Still, the day is young, let's see what happens. That's the fella. Out with the old and in with the new. Right, well here goes nothing. Right, let's give it a go. Oops. Okay, there's some water. Right, you lot watch that while I turn the tap on. See any water? Why? So I've just spent £5 and driven into town and back and refitted it, and it's still leaking. Maybe we'll go and see what Dr. Google has to say about it. Well, things are going really well here. So not only is the tap still leaking even with a new cassette inside it, but as I undid it to double check everything was, in the right place, I forgot that there is water pressure here even if I've turned it off with the tap. So I've just managed to pour a load of water all down the back there. I should say, as a disclaimer, I have never done this before and I don't know what I'm doing, but I like having a go. So don't criticise, okay? And if you know how to do it and you're watching this, well done you, but I'm going to learn how to do it too, hopefully without scratching the chrome on my tap. Hopefully I can get into this and clean it up and replace it, otherwise the shortcut solution would be an entirely new tap. So, Dr. Google has diagnosed problems with seals here and here, and I've seen people taking this section off, but I can't seem to do it so far. So what I've gone and I found one other tool I own, which might help me grip a bit tighter than that wrench I had earlier, and 2 bits of roofing rubber, which might be better than the cloth, I hope. Looked like it turned. Either that or I'm slowly bending it out of shape. Okay, so right, well, now I've damaged the chrome, so brilliant. You only really get one go at this, don't you? Because I can't exactly polish that out. Well, that's disappointing. Oh, Stampy. What are we going to do, eh? All I've managed to achieve is some great big scratches on the chrome. Apart from mine just to take this, take the sink out, access the back of the tap, take the tap out and put something nicer in. I need to find out, based on the water pressure and stuff, whether any standard taps fit or not, or whether I have to go and buy motorhome friendly taps. Basically, I've succeeded in totally mashing up the sink tap. And I've got an extra cartridge as well, there we go. So now I've got 2 of these and no tap. Okay, so in attempting to fix the tap, I've now damaged it so much I'm going to have to buy a new one. Lesson learned. Okay, it's time to call in the cavalry.
Home Sweet Home is run by duo Richard and Hugo, who between them have decades of experience in the motor and motorhome industry. They offer all kinds of services including habitation checks, solar air conditioning systems, bespoke wiring solutions, TV and Wi-Fi systems, sales and more. Well, within minutes the guys confirmed that the fridge was working fine, thanks Stampy, and that the heater, somewhere under here, might be misbehaving because of low fuel or a poor leisure battery.
Well, here we are at the petrol station. Gonna fill up Stampy and test out this theory about the heater only working if you've got at least half a tank of fuel in. So, as ever, things are going swimmingly. It turns out I've driven to the petrol station with no means of paying for my fuel. So, I'll go back home, then I'm going to come back out. Come on, Daryl. So, top tip, if you go to the petrol station, take your wallet. Electricity's on. Stampy has about 3/4 of a tank of diesel in now. Now, according to Hugo, one of the possible causes of our heating issue has been a low amount of fuel in the tank. And apparently on these older vans like Stampy is, the sensor doesn't go deep enough, and so it seems to think there isn't enough diesel in there, and so it doesn't draw any diesel into the heater for fear of drawing air in. That's the theory, and it would be a great outcome if that's all it is. It just means we've got to make sure before we park up that we've got a decent amount of fuel in the tank. So here goes something. Now normally this is where the fans kick in a little bit and then die off. It's actually quite hard to hear over the sound of the pouring rain out there at the moment. There's a yellow weather warning where we are, and a high of 9 degrees today. So heating would be amazing because we're going away. I can't hear what's going on. So here I am, take 2. I had to put this on because it's so cold out here. Now I know the make of our diesel heater. I've looked online and there's lots of people talking about problems. They all seem to be related to leisure battery, which is, to be honest, is the first thing the guys at Home Sweet Motorhome who visited today suggested it could be. So I've got the engine running just to give the diesel heater some extra charge if that's what it's after, and I'm going to give it another go now. If this doesn't work, then the guys have already agreed to come back and take a closer look at the diesel heater, see if they can fix it, but there's almost no chance they're going to be able to fix it before we go away this weekend. So this is going to be another weekend full of blankets, but at least the fridge is working, so there's one bonus. 5 minutes in now, or 6 minutes, and there is heat starting to come out of these holes. So it's working, but I don't really know now whether it's working because the engine's helped it start or because I've got 3/4 of a tank of fuel. So the next thing to do, in my mind, is turn the engine off and see if the heater stays on. It's still warm for now. That could be a real game changer for us because both my body and Bee's body hate the cold. We have lots of different reactions to it. Besides the moaning that the kids do when it's cold, it's actually quite painful for me, B. I'm going to work out somehow if that's the fuel or if that's just the engine starting. If it's having to have the engine on, it could mean that our leisure battery is a bit old and weak when it comes to delivering that, you know, initial bit of power that it needs. I'll go through the receipts and see if I can find out how old that battery is. So for now, we've got a workaround, which means the trip this weekend is back on.
I'm supposed to be doing my first motorhome journey in France because it's much nicer and quieter. It's going to be a baptism of fire.
So the first rule of Drive Club is don't panic. Don't panic, Mr. Mandarin!
Is that the clutch?
And this could just be the last time you ever see the pair of us. Handbrake is on the far side. Let me get strapped in first.
Yeah, Sammy's getting anxious. He's like, what's going on?
She's cruising, people!
Where better to start your motorhome driving journey than on the M25? Yay! So we've gone from nice, blissful dual carriageways and motorways to diversions, road closures. We're going to get there at 10 past 10.
Oh, and here comes somebody just to make it a bit more fruity. That's it, just pull over a bit more, a bit more. The greater thing is it is to travel at night when there's less traffic. They also do all of their roadworks at night. So this particular road closure had no diversion, so we're making it up and hoping that this big road here that we'll get to shortly is the road that will take us all the way out to Broadstairs. Sorry about the light, first of all. It's gone 10 o'clock at night. We've pulled up in the car park that was mentioned on Park for Night, but it doesn't seem to have the coach parking at the back that was mentioned or the barrier at the front. They're all normal sized car parking spaces, as you can see. We're across two of them, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere else to go, and it's late. So we're going to pay the £5 or £6 via the Ringo app to stay here for the night, I think, before we all go mad.
I don't think it's quite 7 o'clock. Now this park up got 4 out of 5 stars on Park for Night. It puts you right in the middle of Broadstairs. I don't think anyone talks about the fact that it's a train station car park. And the clues are in the maps. It was coming up to 11 o'clock and we were really tired and tetchy and grumpy after all of the detours. So we decided to just go with it. It's cheaper. This is what makes us think we might not be in the right car park, because Dara only paid £6 and it's supposed to be 10. But yeah, I think the trains have been going since 5 this morning. Trains plus seagulls plus people pulling their suitcases along. Yeah, it was quite a rude awakening. Oh well.
Well, it's not the best view we've ever had, but on the plus side, the heater's working.
Next to the station was a beautiful tiered flower bed maintained by volunteers. I'm sure it's going to become blatantly apparent to me shortly what Charles Dickens saw in Broadstairs. At the moment, I'm struggling. But of course it didn't take long. Hello. Suddenly got a lot more beautiful. A bit closer to the sea. Some very posh restaurants. Really lovely buildings along here. Charles Dickens lived here. And it is right on the sea. That would have been a nice view for him. He could have been writing looking out of any of those windows. Would have been a very different view from London. Opened out onto the most pretty, quaint seafront. Some lovely buildings. The charming Broadstairs has 7 sandy beaches and is famed for being Charles Dickens' favourite holiday destination. And it's not hard to see why. There were even some beautiful houses right by the seafront. Broadstairs-born Prime Minister Edward Heath was a member of the sailing club here until his death in 2005. I really do feel like I found the magical Broadstairs that Charles Dickens fell in love with. A dinky little Flintstone covered cinema, some ray or shark egg cases and some whelks egg sacks as well. Do you like it? Now I'm up against this cliffside. I've got a bit of protection from the wind. God, that's exhilarating. I can't believe it. Sammy's just scaled 2 sets of stairs. He doesn't climb the stairs at home, but he's just done the stairs here. Probably one of my favourite things about going on these early morning walks is that you always run into really nice people. Lots of different dogs, most of whom are friendly, and all of them are interested in Sammy's life and his jacket. I love Broadstairs. Okay, I take it all back, it's amazing. So we're just parked in the dodgy bit, but down there is beautiful. Everyone seems so friendly. The beach is gorgeous. Sammy's been running on the sand with loads of other dogs. And the selection of shops is great. They've given me loads of recommendations from Margate. They had vegan cinnamon buns and they heated it up too. So that is for you, Indy.
Vegan pastries.
Oh, yum! A mushroom bun for you. A cinnamon bun with like legs.
Cinnamon bun with legs on.
So after doing a bit of train spotting, we headed down to a grand white building I'd spotted earlier. Now used as a council building and event space, the Grade 2 listed Piermont Hall was built as a private residence in 1785 and Queen Victoria holidayed there when she was a princess. So she stayed while holidaying in Broadstairs in the summers between 1826 and 1836 with her mother, the Duchess of Kent.
This bit being a little less regal than the house beyond.
He allegedly stabled his horse here. So these were once a horse stable, so that's where he would keep his horse. This horseshoe-shaped beach was named Viking Bay in 1949 after a reenactment took place of when the Vikings landed near Ramsgate in AD 449. So, this Viking Bay paddling pool, made in 1988, little tidal pool here, surrounded by rocks, and the boys are down there. I wonder how long before they get absolutely soaked. Yes, I was interested to find out that this has been renamed Viking Bay. My 18-year-old son knows more about the Vikings than I do, so but they did come into Thanet, the Isle of Thanet, when they first invaded. Paddling pool. Sammy! Sammy! I've got a feeling these pebbles have all broken off from this very chalky looking rock. It's like something from Space Age. Oh, this paddling pool, it's otherworldly. You're going to have a carpet of seaweed at the sight of it. And you just fell in, Sammy, didn't you, darling? What an adventure. Broadstairs Funicular was built in 1910 and closed in 1991. A single car could carry 12 people and was counterbalanced with a concrete weight. Someone with a sense of humour. Dickens House Museum celebrates his association with Broadstairs and is situated in the cottage that was his inspiration for the home of Betsy Trotwood and David Copperfield. He often had tea here with a Miss Mary Strong, who disliked the donkeys continually passing by her house. We found a free park up in Margate, right by the sea, and as a bonus there were no overnight restrictions. Oh, I've been sent down here to do a recce to see if Stampy will fit into this free parking area that we hope to stay in overnight. There is space, but I can't speak to him. I've managed to phone Indy, but the motorhome hasn't moved yet. There's only this space left. We were lucky there. Looks like he's coming down now. We inspected the Thanet map we found at Margate seafront, getting an idea of how the Isle of Thanet was once separated by the 600-metre wide Wantsum Channel. However, after silt built up over time, the last boat sailed through in 1672 and it was an island no more. So we've managed to park for free, which Daz is delighted by, but he's got a rubbish signal, so he's not happy about that. Plus he's left a file back on his computer at home that he really needs, so he's a bit stressed. So we've left him be and we've come out into Margate, so we're going to explore and see what Margate's got to offer. Things on the list are the shell caves, the crab museum, and the first place that we're approaching is the Turner Contemporary, which is in the place of where he used to go and stay at the guest house to see his love, producing the most amazing artwork. We've been reading today how he is like the father of contemporary art. Look at those skies. So there is a work of art there.
We were literally saying, is he actually a person or is he a statue? I said he was a statue.
Well, now you know he's made by a very, very famous sculptor called Anthony Gormley. I think he's done other figures in the sea. Anthony Gormley, famous for his Angel of the North sculpture in Gateshead, created 100 cast iron figures of his own body for another time, and they are positioned all around the world. This was number 21, and he disappears and reappears as the tide goes out and in. As has asked me to draw out £20 today, just so for the children's benefit they can see the picture of Turner and the Margate Lighthouse, which is actually on the back of the £20 note since 2020. After a lovely time in the gallery, we headed for the free-to-enter Crab Museum, which is easy to find in Margate Old Town. The crustaceans evolve. It's crab time, suckers. This museum is free. That's pretty impressive. Amazing life before us humans got involved, and here's human life. It's on this tiny part of the wall. With its amusing descriptions of its exhibits, the kids were very happy. There were helpful curators, worksheets and puzzles. However, it soon became obvious to Indy and I that it was actually an excellent political museum, highlighting the link between capitalism and climate change and inviting museum goers to deface the picture of an MP, Stephen Crabbe, who had been in support of some awful things. It also highlighted some of the horrors of colonialism and that, rather bleakly, all civilisations, including our own, eventually end.
Well, this is my view from my office today. The bay in Margate. That's not bad. So Bee and the boys have gone off into town exploring and I'm sat here doing my work. This is a free park up right on the edge of the sort of a cliff edge. Right on the edge of the beach. We should hopefully be able to stay here all night and then we'll head down the coast to our next location. My only concern is that last time we were sleeping, both Bee and I heard the water pump occasionally kick in. And in my mind, I mean, we have got a problem with the water pump today actually. We've got the water is on and off, depending on whether I hold a wire in place or not, it seems. But my other thought was that it was losing pressure and then coming on to top up the pressure. And why would it lose pressure? Possibly because there's a leak. And I put my hand through the drawer and under the sink this morning and I couldn't feel any wetness on the tailpipes of the tap or on the bottom of the sink. So I thought, okay, everything's okay. My only concern is that sort of swivel joint that was halfway down the cold water pipe. And just now, as I thought I'd make myself a tea, I spotted a leak going across the floor. Well, there's a man just shouting hello outside the back of the van for some reason. Maybe his son's called Hello, that'd be interesting. Hello! So you can see here, there's water emanating from what seemed like the base of the cabinet across there. Now that, besides, hang on, my kettle is ready. That sent alarm bells ringing in my head. I've since turned the power to the pump off, and what I might do is remove the sink again just to have a look down the back just to double check there's no water building up. Because the paper towel that I put down there a second ago is soaked. I think I'm going to need more than a tea in a minute.
Margate is one of England's first seaside towns, and in the 1750s the wealthy would flood to the town to seek the health benefits of salt water. Karl Marx actually stayed here in Margate in the hope that the seawater would clear up his boils. It might look like a grim and bleak horizon, but actually this stillness and the similarity in colour, the depth of the sky, I think is very magical. And a town of a love story too. So this is supposedly made in honour of Sophie Booth, Turner's companion for 18 years after her husband's death. And there is the Turner Contemporary Gallery, which is built on the site of her guest house where he rented rooms. So our next stop after a 12-minute stomp across town dodging the rain was the eerie subterranean shell grotto, which we'll have to show you in the next week's vlog because this has gone on for far too long. Coming up next week, Daz's plumbing nightmares continue and get worse. We have a smashing time in Dreamlands. It's not all gorgeous locations. We visit a Roman and Saxon ruin, Sammy destroys something and gets an ice cream, and we finally make it to Whitstable.